Good morning and welcome to episode 10 of Engine Talk. Today's video is going to feature, or I'm going to discuss and show and tell only about the saga or the unfolding story I'm having with this Saito FA-90T of mine. Now this video actually started yesterday. I wasn't going to make it an Engine Talk video, but because of the events that led up to today, I am. So I'm going to stop talking right now and put on the first two segments that I filmed yesterday, followed by maybe a teaser run video, and then we're going to go in and dive into the real issues that I had with this thing, or still am having. Okay, so this is the time I've been waiting for. I've been waiting to get some free time where I'm not too taxed with other things, so I can finish reassembling this Saito FA-90T engine that Jay painted satin black for me. So I really can't wait to get this thing together and see what it looks like, and maybe, if I'm lucky enough, get a run on it before the season's over. So here's all my parts. I'm going to sit here quietly and meditatively and just work on reassembling this engine, and I'll come back to the video when I'm done. Okay, so here is the completely reassembled Saito FA-90T that my buddy Jay just put a paint coat on, Cerakote. And I guess you could say that my excitement is tendered slightly because of the fact that this cylinder seems to have a slight intake valve leak, and I haven't resolved that yet. I just identified where it is. So the question I have for myself is, do I just go ahead and put this on the upright, put a prop on it, try to run it and see if that valve will seal on its own, or if there's some other issue? Everything looked fine when I put it together, and I didn't actually think to do a leak check on the head itself before I assembled it. I believe that this engine had good compression on both cylinders when I got it, but you know, that was a month or so ago and I'm not really sure. I mean, it seemed like it flipped over fine. So I don't know what would have happened between then and now that would result in not having good compression in that, or good sealing in this intake side here. But I mean, the engine looks beautiful. It definitely doesn't look like an FA-100T, because the 100T is silver here and it's only black on the cylinders. So whether anybody else or not has one that looks like this, I don't know. If you do, then let me know. But otherwise, I'm going to sit here and consider this a one-of-a-kind Saito 90T for the moment. And this is an older one. It's not like the oldest version, I don't believe, but the valve adjuster screws or adjuster nuts, the part you screw in, are not the socket head cap screws. They're the little thin, small, hard to see, slotted adjuster screws. But so that would indicate to me that this is a little bit older version. But anyway, so that's what it looks like. I'm happy to see that it looks beautiful, but I'll be a lot happier when I see that it runs well. Okay, so now that you've seen the intro, I'll say, to this video, I just want to say that, look at this thing. It's beautiful. And so I bought this thing used, and it did have compression, and it had compression that felt exactly like this. So what this is, for those unfamiliar with this odd-fire twin Saito engine, is that you have compression, and then you have a long revolution. I think it's 720 degrees before you come to compression again. So here we're coming compression, and then it goes all the way around before you get it again. Compression. So yesterday when I filmed the first segments, I didn't have, and I think I showed in that video, this won't just stand like this, I'm gonna have to hold it. I didn't have, or I had very, very light compression in this cylinder. Now, as I sit here and turn this over, I can't tell you which one of those is firing. I don't remember. I don't remember if that's that one or this one. So anyway, I had very light compression here. And, you know, I checked the valve clearances and did all that stuff. And I was very, very careful with regards to reassembling this engine, as I am with all of them. And I didn't think to do a leak check because, hey, it had good compression. But then when I felt that light compression, I was like, oh, darn it, why didn't I at least do that while the head was off? So I didn't, and the next best thing I could think to do was take this thing out, put it on the stand, put it on the bench, and then just spin it over with the electric starter. Because many times when you have light compression like that, on even a single cylinder engine, the remedy is just to run it, spin it over really fast, and bring the compression up. So in the course of doing that, obviously I put a prop on there, and I hooked up a fuel tank. And I'm like, well, you know, and I spun it over a few times. And I was like, well, I think I really need to get liquid in here. So it's like it turned into just a spinning it over into, let's run this thing. So I began to do that. I really wish I didn't have to sit here and hold this. It's helpful though, because I'll be describing and pointing to things. But so I tried to run it, and I said this was a cylinder that was light on compression. And so let me do a short segue here in that I'm just noticing something. It looks like whoever had this first or last or before me at some point put little marks on these high-speed needle valves, as in indicator marks, it looks like, as opposed to using the set screw. But anyway, so it's been a while since I've opened up brand new glow plugs. I mean, fresh out of a package. For the most part, the plugs I used for most of my engines, they're lightly used. They're not extremely used. They all look, you know, like new. So I had put 2 OSF glow plugs in here for my container of open glow plugs. And maybe it's been a long time since I've actually put a freshly charged glow igniter on a brand new OSF plug. I don't know. And I'll explain why I'm saying that now, because I put these 2 in here. I put them on glow and I was like, yep, they glow. Put them in. Take it to the bench. So we've got all the ingredients for an engine to run, which is compression, fuel, and glow. And of course the valve lash was set properly. So all of those things are required for an engine to run, a glow engine to run, and I had all those things. So I hit at this thing with the starter. This cylinder fires, this one doesn't. Ice cold, it's just hemorrhaging raw fuel out of the exhaust. So I start, you know, trying to play with needles, you know, because I had set them both from fully closed, 2.5 turns open, and started setting them, and then it just died. And this happened several times. And I'm like, why is this is the engine that had the light compression, yet it was the one that was firing. And it was firing pretty good. And so right after the very first run attempt, I had compression. It felt just like this then. And I was like, oh, cool. All I gotta do now is figure out why this cylinder isn't firing. So the first thing I checked was my glow igniter. So one of the glow igniters I had was dead. And it's like, these damn glow igniters are really irritating me because they're the ones that use the sub-C cell batteries. And for the life of me, it seems like I just can't get quality sub-C cell batteries because they just don't seem to stay, they don't seem to keep a charge after they're fully charged. And then I also, always after they're fully charged on my regular charger, I always hook them to the charger that comes with those things, like, you know, comes with ones that you can't replace, or Dubra ones. So I always put them on that because that's always like 170 milliamp. It's a long charger, so I use that as a trickle charger. So I've always got them on charge, and yet I go out there and that thing was dead. So I was like, geez, whatever. So I run upstairs to the apartment and grab my other one. I only have 3. Checked it, yeah, it's good. And at the same time, I decided, well, you know what? I'm going to changed to a different OSF plug, because when I first pulled this out and checked it with that igniter, I'm like, oh, the plug is dead. Well, it wasn't dead, it was the freaking globe igniter was dead. So I put a different plug in there, different OSF plug, and fired it up. And basically I had the same results. This engine would fire, or this cylinder would fire, this one was stone cold. And I'm like, what the hell is going on here? So I got really, really frustrated. Really frustrated. And I'm like, what am I doing here? So I started trying to figure out, well, the last Saito 90T I worked on was a friend of mine's, Chuck's, and his had a major issue with the carb. Major issue. In fact, the issue turned out to be that one of the spray bar on this side was completely blocked and clogged. So I'm like, okay, well, let me do this, because I had put this in the ultrasonic cleaner. I had cleaned that, so I'm like, yeah, it's good. So I didn't even really think to check it. So I pull the carb off and I start blowing in it in the garage, and I'm like, something doesn't seem right to me. So I decided to take the carb back upstairs and do a little bit more in-depth investigation. And what I found, and of course I turned it upside down and I really need to be showing you this way again, is that there's something amiss with one of these high-speed needles. And when I say that, I say it because what I would do is I took the barrels out. I was going to disassemble it completely, but instead I just took it off the carb. Took it off the engine and took the barrels out. There's those two screws there, and just dropped the barrels and left everything else the same. Now, the intakes were still on the engine downstairs. And I did do a check, intake valve check, using that, and then the exhaust on both cylinders too. But anyway, so we're past the compression thing. So what I did was I closed the high-speed needle all the way on both of them and blew through there to make sure that these completely closed off, even with the barrels out, completely closed off the spray bar, which it did. So then I continued to blow in there, and I just slowly was opening it. And it was like I was over one turn. I was open more than one turn, and I'm still not getting any airflow. And I got to 2 turns and it was just barely starting to come out, and then there was like one click and it went from barely anything to and I'm like, whoa, that is different, because then I compared it with the other side and it wasn't like that at all. It was a very linear, as I was blowing and adjusting or opening it, it was a very linear increase in airflow that I could hear. But with this it was like start at 2 turns, or one click past 2 turns. I'm like, okay, so there we go. So I thought at that time that there was an issue with that side of the carb. So I started investigating that, and I pulled the carbs out, or the high-speed needles out, and I can look through. I can hold it up to the light, and with the barrel out, I can see all the way through the spray bar. And both openings look completely fine. I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense at all. So then I swapped needles. And both needles are exactly the same. They look identical. They're the correct and proper needles for this. I verified that. And the issue followed the high-speed needle. So first it started out here, and then when I swapped them, it went over here. And I'm like, that's interesting. So then I began to wonder, do these needles, high-speed needles inside, do they have an O-ring? So I started out with a pick or a micro screwdriver, and then I graduated to a T-pin. I started poking down around there, and for the life of me, I don't feel that there is a high-speed needle or an O-ring inside either of these. So it's like, okay, so if I was doing like a little with the T-pin, I was doing a depth measurement to see how far in it would go inside. How far it would go inside that, and they both were the same. They both felt exactly the same. And then of course I tried shining a light in there with a high magnification, and you couldn't see much because you just can't get the light to shine in there so that you can see anything in there. So I'm like, oh god, this just really sucks. So
I said, well, you know, I don't know what else to do here. So what I did was I just kind of said, well, I'm going to, instead of counting turns out, I'm going to count the side that has the screwy high-speed needle. When it barely started to blow air through, I'm going to call that closed. And then I'm just going to kind of keep opening each of them until I think I hear or feel or sense the same amount of airflow coming out, which on one of them it was like, you know, it's right away. And then I'm just going to call that the set point. And of course they were probably, you know, at least a turn and a half different at that point. So I took it downstairs and I said, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace those plugs completely, the OSF plugs, because I had made a note, mental note, and maybe I even said it in one of my previous videos out at the running site, was that Fox plugs seem to glow brighter than OSF plugs, the Fox Miracle plug or any Fox plug. Fox plugs to me just always seem to just be higher illumination. I don't know, I'm not saying they're higher heat, I'm just saying the element always looks so much brighter than an OSF plug. So I'm thinking, well, I have fuel getting into both cylinders, obviously, because it was hemorrhaging fuel out. So there's not a blockage there, so we got fuel. I've got good glow. I have compression. The thing should run. There is nothing, and the timing is perfect. The valve lash is set. There's no reason why this thing should not run. So I opened two brand new Fox Miracle plug packages. And Fox Miracle plugs, for those of you that don't know, they're long plugs, first of all, and they look like 4-stroke plugs. It says they can be used in 2- and 4-stroke engines, and I have used them in 4-stroke engines in the past. So I checked them. Wow, they look bright as the sun. So I put them in there, fired it up, and the video, I don't know if I already put a little video clip up or not, but the 3 little video samples I've got show it running with the Fox Miracle plugs. Now granted, it isn't running super perfectly because of the fact that I'm having issues tuning because one of these high-speed needles is all screwy. So that's kind of where we stand. It does run. It is timed properly. I've got a 13/8 Zinger prop on here, which was a prop that was really, that the 100T that I just ran really liked. And I just said, what the heck with it, I'm just going to put that prop on here. So that's kind of where we stand, and I was, you know, consulting with my buddy Harvey. And then I also sent a text message to Chuck, whose 90T I was working on. I was asking him, well, hey, maybe what I can do is, and this was before I had it running, can I borrow your carb from your 90T so I can use it as an aid in troubleshooting, and I'll just, you know, piece by piece start moving things around. Well, that's when I had the idea to just say, hey, all of the parameters for an operation are present, so let's just try plugs that are different. And it turned out those Fox Miracle plugs glowed tremendously brighter than the Fox or the OSF plugs. So maybe I just have some tired OSF plugs. I don't know. Maybe I need to open up. I'm just kind of a hoarder when it comes to glow plugs. I've got, you know, some on hand, but I hate to keep opening new packages because then you end up with a container of all these used plugs that you don't have any idea how much usage they've got on them, and I don't want to keep doing that, and I also don't like throwing plugs away. So what I try to do is I segregate them, weak, maybe bad, known to work, and something like that. It's very unorganized. So the thing is, I don't open new plugs that often. But in this instance, I did with 2 Fox Miracle plugs, and it seemed like that was the key to at least getting both cylinders to run. Now, I had very little tuning range because of the way one was operating. I mean, obviously one cylinder would, you know, tune fairly well, but it seemed like it would want to shut down the whole, it would shut down the one cylinder that was running well, this one, seemed like I could tune it, and if I got to the point where it was too lean, even with this cylinder firing poorly, the whole engine would just shut down. So I'm going, I'm listening, and then I get to that one point where it's just too lean, and it shuts the entire engine down. I was like, well, that's kind of fucked up. I mean, it should, you know, whatever. So that's kind of where we stand, and what I ended up doing was, I'm pretty confident that the throttle body and the spray bars, I'm pretty confident that the spray bars and all that stuff are good. The only thing I can see and quantitatively say is different is that when I get a different amount of airflow using when I swap these high-speed needles. So fortunately, I found 2 high-speed needles from Omni Models on eBay. 2 of these are the same needles that are used in the 90T and the 100T engine, because they both have the exact same carb. So I got 2 brand new needles on order, and I'm hoping that when they arrive, weather will still be conducive for me to run this thing so that I can actually see if that resolves the issue. And then if that resolves the issue, it's like, well, what the heck is really going on with that one high-speed needle, and I need to mark it and make sure I don't ever use it or give it to anybody or anything, because it will only cause them issues. So I know this has probably been a very long-winded video, but I thought it was important to share the experiences I had with this and to go through the troubleshooting things that I've had to do. So this is like the second twin-cylinder engine, Saito twin-cylinder engine, I've had to do some rather extensive troubleshooting with, when they should just run quickly and easily. But like I said, this was a used engine. It had compression just like this. So maybe that's why it was for sale. Maybe that's why the person, and I, you know, in assembling the parts, nothing seemed amiss. I mean, everything looked happy and healthy. It didn't look, when I disassembled it, there was no heavy carbon buildup on the tops of the pistons. So yes, it was a used engine, and there was a light coat of carbon on the bottom of the exhaust valve, but it wasn't like this was ever really a heavily used engine. So it's like, well, what could have happened to it that would cause these issues that I'm seeing now? Because like I told Harvey yesterday, I said, this isn't my first rodeo. This isn't the first twin-cylinder engine I've cleaned and reassembled and replaced bearings, and I kind of have an idea of what I'm doing. And this thing was really confounding me yesterday, but I hope to have some better information and better videos of this thing, if weather permitting, when I get new high-speed needles. So that's our video for today, and thank you all for watching.